Hi, this is Steve Bogner. I'm Managing Partner at Insight Consulting Partners here with Martin Gillet in the SAPexperts Theater. And we're wrapping up a lot of the sessions. We're not all the way done yet with HR2013. And thought we would just take a moment here to talk about what's gone on so far and what your impressions are, and I'll give you my impressions too, but you go first.
So welcome everyone, my name is Martin Gillet. I'm an independent contractor to SAP mentor, so in case you're wondering, not wearing my pajamas, it's my mentor shirt. And yes, Steve, we had quite a few great days now, and we still have a few sessions coming ahead. I think one of the main sessions that I enjoyed the most were our panel session, not because we've made it, but because we had interaction with the great public and with the audience, and we could actually throw some good questions out there and engage conversation with them. I truly believe that this kind of event is not so much about the delivery of content and also knowledge, which is of course one of the core, let's say, component. It is also the networking. So having people on board, having this year an expert theater as well, is one way we can also interact and get people on board.
True. One of the new features this time, I think, is the speed networking, which some people did,
definitely.
Which I heard a lot of good feedback on that. And yeah, with the session we had yesterday on the panel discussion, we talked about cloud HR and what that means for people. We talked about mobility, and we talked about also SAP HANA and the impact on HR. I think I think the conclusion, tell me if you agree or not, I think the conclusion is there's a lot of change.
Well,
a lot of change, and different customers will handle it differently. But the thing to do is for customers to communicate with SAP, but also to have a good handle on their business processes.
Well, that's the fun part, is that nowadays we don't have just one product or one suite. We have a lot of options that could actually work together and integrate.
Right.
So never lose from sight that the key word is integration. And we're very happy, very pleased to see that we don't just have buzzword like HANA, integration, cloud, mobility. They actually come in different silos where we can actually see it live, see it working. There were a couple of demos around here at partners or even SAP booth. So customer today is much more understanding how the business processes could actually fit into those different things and how they could project themselves in the next future.
Sure.
So that's pretty nice to have this on board for the sessions.
SAP brought a lot of information on the integration, right, with Employee Central to HCM, but also for the hybrid model, right, from SAP HCM up to talent management and SuccessFactors. You can tell that they're doing a lot of work on that, and there's a lot of change there. So it was good also, I think, for customers to see that there's been a couple of different iterations of this so far, and that it will keep moving. And I like how SAP is pushing the information out to the customers like that.
Yeah, I think one of the key takeaway I've taken from a few sessions is there was really a consensus to not distract the attendees or the customer by giving false information or misleading information, not false but misleading.
Yeah.
So talking about Oliver Conze, for instance, they want to have the same presentation not only because it's boring, but just because they have a consensus on the message to deliver. Because we want to have a straight message out there and see how customer can react and adjust the business requirement according to the technology to be used.
Sure, and when you get to business requirements, one thing that reinforces to me that I tell my customers, and that when people come here I think it reinforces, is for this year in particular, people need to be on top of their business requirements and business processes.
Yeah.
Because the decision to stay on-premise or go to cloud isn't so much about the underlying technology. It's about which one is going to be better for your business processes. But you have to really get on top of those, right? You don't want to just push bad business processes into the cloud. That doesn't really buy you anything.
I couldn't agree more. I'm a firm believer, my background is human resource, that customers should first revise the business processes and see how they could actually fit in. And then once it is done, when it is firmly confirmed, they can actually see which technology could actually be the enabler. And not just use the technology as a cloud mobility app because it's cool and fresh. We want to put more effort into it to make it a success story for end user, or what we call internal users.
Correct. So. And there's a lot of change here, and one of the things that I was curious to see was if there was anything really new coming out with mobility. I think that's one of the big challenges SAP has, and that's been brought up here. The time and effort it takes to get up on SAP mobility, on-premise, is substantial, right?
It is.
Yeah, and when you go to cloud HR and cloud talent management, that's more of just a feature that comes along with it, which is great. So it will be interesting to see in the coming year what SAP does with that. I really want them to be successful, but I'm just not so sure that with the model they have so far, how that's going to work out.
Well, time will tell, but looking ahead of time, we have Sapphire coming in Orlando in May. We have the HR conference for Europe in June. So certainly those will be milestones we can definitely look into, and also follow maybe the conversation online via Twitter or via the different channel that we have. So definitely it's important that we chime in with comments, with remarks, and then we interact with SAP. We mentioned we had quite a great few sessions. One of my favorite sessions was the one from Bob Shank from Coca-Cola Refreshments, where we spent the time. It was a full house, listening to customers and what they wanted to do, which customer story they wanted to tell, what were the pitfalls, what were the customer stories, and then also we could actually rebound on that later on and get the feedback, let's say next year, 2014. What's your story now? You told us you would implement, cloud mobility, so what's now you take away and your feedback?
Right, exactly. It's been a great session, and we've had, this is the first one that has been split apart from financials.
Yes.
And I think that has worked really well, because there's a good, sharp HR focus to things here. And, there's so much going on. Clients really need to come, in my opinion, to sessions like this, and also follow the SAP Experts website and the HR Expert newsletter, which you and I have been involved in since almost the founding, right?
I'm getting old, don't remind me my age.
It's a long time.
I think it's one takeaway as well. I mean, everybody has a piece of knowledge, so when we actually review submitted articles, when we review IDs, it doesn't take fancy writing to become, a blogger or to become an author. So I challenge perhaps customers who have customer stories, or people who have, something to tell with what I would call added value, not just showing maybe a transaction, but really, stuff that could help out. I challenge them maybe to start with an article and then maybe get engaged on the Insider Learning Network, because this is how also we can get information out there and engage.
Right.
I mean, someone smarter than me once said it's not so much what you know about SAP, is who you know. So basically, once you have your networking growing, you can share knowledge and you can actually go around. So and this is part of the mentorship, the mentor attitude.
Right.
And you don't need, this is a mentor, by the way, you don't need to have a mentor shirt to become a mentor. We have a lot of good mentors already out there. So,
thanks. Well, this has been a good discussion, Martin, and
I enjoyed
it's been a good wrap-up and a good conference. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you again. I look forward to see you maybe in Europe. So
I hope so.
Online, that'll be fun.
And this is Steve Bogner again, signing off. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.